their smart wool socks.
Are they your sponsor?
Yeah, they did sponsor this tour.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they gave me money so I didn't have to like miss out on work and stuff.
Love that.
They've been very supportive of my work, and I've been like consulting with them and stuff. And I will say they're really bad at plus sizes right now, but they are working at it, and I'm helping them with that, and they've been really receptive, and they pay me very well. So
that's
nice.
what we like to hear.
Yeah. So if you go to their website now, don't fret. They're going to go up to 5X eventually in their base layers, and I'm trying to like get all in there and kind of help with everything. So
you're fighting a good fight, is what you're doing.
yes,
so
yes, and they're paying me for it, so it's great. It's even better.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. We're so happy you're here tonight, Summer.
Thanks. I'm happy you're here, and I'm happy all of you are here.
Same.
Thank you for being here.
And you're back, like, I don't know, home? Would you call the city's home to you?
Yes.
Minnesota for sure.
For sure, yes. Minnesota is home. I grew up in Wilmer, if anybody knows Wilmer.
Wow.
I went to high school in Elk River, and then I went to college in Minneapolis and St. Paul. So absolutely, it's home. I lived here for like 30 years. Yeah.
And we were chatting before. You said that you would like come here to this bookstore when you were a teenager.
Yes, this is a place that I like to come, and uptown especially. But like bookstores are always my favorite, and specifically here. So it's kind of cool to be like teenage summers here speaking about a book. It's like I never thought this would happen. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
It's special. Yeah, it's so cool. And this is the last stop on your tour, right?
It's the last stop on my book tour, yeah. Thank you for dealing with the reschedule, everyone, also, and for being here still. Yeah, I was, like, sick. I couldn't come, so I couldn't travel.
I'm glad you didn't come if you were sick.
I know. It would have been terrible. You didn't want to see me then.
But you're feeling good now. And here.
Yes, absolutely.
Should we get into some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm curious. So some of you might know that I co-host a podcast called Matter of Fact with my friend Saraya Bogani.
Yay!
And someone was on our podcast this season with our most recent interview. So this feels in some ways very special because it's almost like we're continuing a conversation we already had, you know?
Yeah.
And also for many of the folks in the room, like you've read Summer's book, I imagine many of you have, and so it's perhaps for you a continued conversation as well because you've heard so much from Summer. I'm interested to know, like, when you think about your relationship with outdoors when you were young and now kind of where it is, what was that like for you, and like how has that evolved over the years to bring you where you are today?
When I was young, like when I was a young kid, I definitely like my mom. There's 5 kids in my family. My mom would kind of like push us out the door and be like, go outside. I'm sure we were totally obnoxious, especially having 5 kids and being a single parent. And then, I feel like I lost that as a teen, in my 20s, and then in my 30s, I was like, my community kind of consisted of like going to dance parties, queer dance parties and things like that. And I really just like started to like want to have community elsewhere. And was like kind of, and I was dating somebody who was really into the outdoors, and that was kind of like the catalyst of me like getting outside. But it wasn't something that I consistently was interested in throughout my life. It's become a passion now as an adult, but I really did not like hiking. It's so funny that I have a book called Fat Girls. It's so funny that I have a book about hiking because I really did not like the outdoors. I remember just going outside and being like, I don't want to be dirty. I don't want sand on me. Like, bugs are so gross, especially when I lived in Minnesota. No offense. I know you all live here. But there's a chapter in the book called Bugs and Humidity. And you know what that means. Like, going outside during those, not my favorite. So I think moving to a new place that had, like, new type of nature. And, like, in Oregon, there's, like, so much majestic nature. There's the ocean, there's like snow-capped mountains, there's beautiful old-growth forests, and just things that were like really interesting to me that I like only ever saw in books or like on TV or in movies. So seeing those things in person it really changed me, and it changed my relationship with nature, absolutely.
Oh, it's beautiful to hear.
Yeah. But I love the nature here now, and bugs and humidity, I can do it. I really appreciate the nature here now more. I think that I'm not like, that I just have changed my mindset also about what nature, how to access nature and all that,
and also bugs and humidity are real.
It's pretty hot, right? Yeah, like, I think I got 1 mosquito bite since I've been here, and I'm shocked. I was like, I cannot believe there has not been more mosquitoes.
That's not bad.
I remember them just being like everywhere. Like, that's my, like, memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think what's so special about Fat Girls Hiking is that it started really organically. Like you shared, you're just like, yeah, well, I started hiking and I used a hashtag and was just like, maybe I'll find other people.
Yes.
And then, and more people started using the hashtag, right?
Yes.
So it grew organically at first, but then it was like your leadership and dedication that had this organization grow, opening new chapters. And I'm interested to know, like, what are some of the things that are most inspiring about Fat Girls Hiking for you, like the community, and where are there areas, like what do you look forward to in the future, like areas of growth, if that's something on your mind?
Yeah, it did really start kind of, I had no intention of like starting a community, really. Like I knew I wanted friends to hike with. I didn't know that would be a community or like what it is today or a book. That's not was my intention. It was just, I wanted to make friends to hike. Like I didn't really know many people who hiked, except for my girlfriend at the time when I first started the Instagram account. So it was really a way to just like find other people to hike with that weren't going to be like, you're slow, or like, you know, like I felt like I would hold people back because I was slow, or, you know, just comments or looks or that feeling you get when you're like the only fat person, or, you know, that you're like, do I even fit in here? So that was kind of the what kind of got me to start thinking more about that and just wanting to have friends who wanted to hike with me that wouldn't, you know, make fun of me for being slow or taking like so many pictures. Like I just want to take a picture of this beautiful flower, and I want to take like all the selfies and all the things and just have that be okay, you know. But yeah, it did organically grow over time in this. Starting as a hashtag, starting as an Instagram account, and then people saying like, oh, hey, like we want to go hiking with you. I'm like, why? I don't know what I'm doing. I honestly don't. I was like a beginner hiker. I just would like do some research, but it turns out like a lot of other people were in that same place, and then if we do that together, I guess that's a community, right?
It is. Yep.
I didn't know any of this before having these experiences, so it was really cool to like be facilitating that, and I also think there's something about being a beginner myself that like other people can relate to that, or like I don't consider myself an expert kind of even now. I'm trying to change that narrative that I have that I'm not an expert, because I think that I hold myself back in that way, or like I kind of believe these gatekeepers who say that I can't be an expert or something because I'm fat, or you know, whatever, all the things that keep us that sort of have those barriers to accessing the outdoors, you know.
Yeah, but I think like no matter how much of an expert you've become, you're still very relatable.
Yeah.
And you would never like use your expertise in this area to gatekeep.
No.
Right? Actually, it's like the exact opposite.
It's the opposite.
What you've done to this community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like the ambassadors, all the ambassadors that, you know, when people want to become ambassadors for Fat Girls Hiking, I'm like, you don't have to have experience, because I didn't have experience, and I think that that's the thing that I think we think that you have to have all this experience to do a job or something. It's like we have to start somewhere, and to have somebody like I wish I had somebody to be like, oh, here's how you do it, and it was just like trial and error, and like what works and what doesn't work, or like what people are responding to, or what, you know, people are like not interested in, and just like kind of figuring it out as I go. And I think it did just feel kind of like natural to do it that way.
It's like the way you talk about like learning to hike and like getting into that is similar to some things that you shared with us for Matter of Fact, on how you like started the community. You're like, I don't know how to organize a thing, like I don't know how to do this, but you learned along the way.
Yeah.
And there's something really special about that.
Yeah.
It feels very much like creating what you wish existed.
Yes.
There's a real beauty in that.
Thank you. Yeah. It is like creating what I wish I had.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's people, I think about that with my shop too. Like when we were teenagers,
Yeah.
what if we were like shopping at Cake, doing Fat Girls Hiking?
Yeah.
Like, what would that have been like for us?
And how would we have been
better?
Yeah.
Been better earlier?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just think like, what a cool time for people now to be alive. But also like think how they will, like as the years go on, like how everything will be even better and more improved, you know?
It's so true. I think like the next generations are like so freaking cool.
I
Honestly,
agree. Yes.
I went to this like really cool like youth-led like queer event recently during Pride Month, and I was like, oh my gosh, they are like, I'm so happy that like the next generation is really like thinking about things that I feel like, you know, I was like some rebel, or like, you know, it was like revolutionary to think about that stuff when I was a teenager. Now it's like very prevalent in people's like language,
Yeah.
in their books, and like their representation.
And in just like a matter-of-fact way. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
we just like use this word, or we just say this.
Yeah,
you
we
know?
ask people their pronouns.
Yeah.
We don't assume. Like, just a basic thing that feels now like, oh yeah, like I wish I was like that when I was a teenager. Yeah, so it's just like, I feel like progress, you know?
It's really
Yeah.
special. So while you're creating all of these different chapters and making all of this happen, like what were areas of, I don't know, excitement or joy and inspiration for you along the way?
I just think it was awesome to meet other people who were hiking and or just doing other like cool things outside, like people who were kayaking or like rock climbing, just things that I never thought fat people could do because I never saw them doing it. So that has been like amazing just to see like I can think about like all the things that I've done. Like we would do different events around Portland when I first started Fat Girls Hiking. We would call it the Fat Adventure Club. So we like did these boxing classes, which was amazing, weightlifting, and just like trying different sort of movement things or like just things we wanted to try that we thought like, oh, there doesn't seem like there's space for fat people in that. And we made space for ourselves in it. So it was like really like, it was inspiring to me that we could make room for ourselves and create, and making those spaces, even if they didn't exactly feel like welcoming, we welcomed each other and we like made what we wanted, made the community that we wanted. Yeah.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
So special. I mean, isn't that like what we all want and like what we all can do, right? If we find the right people, like,
right.
I don't know, like take up that space for ourselves and make that space.
Yes, absolutely.
I think on a much smaller scale and for a lot of folks, but clearly you've been doing it on a much larger scale, which is really cool.
Yeah, I know we had some the chapters have changed a bit since the pandemic, but like we had international chapters, which I was like, oh my gosh, that's cool. You know, there was a chapter in London and one in Sweden. I'm just like, to know that like what I started in Portland was like spreading across the country and then also to other countries that people wanted to be a part of that. Like, yeah, totally not what I intended it to be, but that's what it became. And that so many people also wanted that community and they wanted to try hiking and they just felt like, oh, that's not something that I've seen people like me do or felt welcoming to me, or like I got so many emails and so many DMs, like people saying, I want to come hiking, but I'm worried I will hold everyone back and that I'm too slow. And like that is exactly why we're here, is because this is a different kind. It's not like, you know, we're an REI hiking club. No. As the leader, like I'm the last person. I'm making sure I'm the slowest person so no one else has to feel like that they have that trophy. I will have that trophy forever. I don't want people to feel ashamed of like, you know, what their needs are or what their bodies can do, and instead of thinking about it like what they can't do, it's like, no, you can do as much as you want and you can stop whenever you want, and like just reframing like how we're thought of, we think about hiking. Like our culture is so, you know, it's like, especially in hiking, it's like this toxic masculinity. Like we have to like, I think I said this on your podcast too, like, you know, begging peaks and conquering mountains, and it's like so gross. Yeah, it's so gross. It's like this colonial mindset. Like that's not what it is. It's like connecting with each other and connecting with nature. You know, that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Well, and so often hiking can be seen as like purely a form of physical exercise, sometimes like related to weight loss. And I know for Fat Girls Hiking, the motto is trails, not scales.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if you can share, like, what are some of the benefits that hiking has brought you, maybe beyond physical exercise?
Totally.
You know, instead of the scale, you know, what has the trail brought you beyond that?
I think that, I mean, being outside is, even if you're not hiking or moving at all, it's really good for your mental health.
Yes.
It's like, it like raises your serotonin. There's like chemical things that actually happen. It's like, you know, they've studied it. So just being outside, even if you're not hiking, is really good. And then if you are moving, there's an added element to that as well. But for me, it's like, I feel like I learned to trust my body and trust my instincts, and trust myself to take care of myself, to get myself to my destination and back. And I've done that many, many, many times in my years of hiking by myself or leading group hikes. And I think it's just like, we often tell ourselves we can't do things. I mean, I was talking to my sister about this before I came here tonight, and I was just like, oh, I feel nervous. And like, you know, it's like, I can do this even though I feel like maybe uncomfortable or whatever. I feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do. And so it's just like trusting myself that I can do this.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's with a lot of hiking stuff too, is people feel nervous, which I absolutely relate to. Like, it's a little scary to know if you can do something or not. And then like, how can I help people to feel more comfortable and more confident in themselves to like go find whatever it is outside. It doesn't have to even be hiking. It can be just to get people to connect with nature, I think is awesome, because there is so many great benefits to it. Yeah, I don't know. It's like my everything, honestly. I have found so much joy just being outside, and like just tiny things make me so happy. Like, I love moss. I know moss is different in Minnesota, but if you've ever been to like the Pacific Northwest or seen a photo and it's just like moss like dripping from the trees or covering bark, it's like so gorgeous to me. Somebody called it creepy once, but we're not friends, obviously. You don't have to like what I like, but you know, just like finding what brings you joy. What do you find appealing about being outside? Is it a vista? Is it a creek? Is it a lake? Like whatever it is, you can find that thing and, you know, spend intentional time with it. And there are so many great benefits, especially with like our world. We're so like go, 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 and like on our phones, which no shade, because like so am I. I'll be outside on my phone, like there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, like also like taking that time to like, that's for yourself, and that helps you, you know, in so many ways, you know. Yeah, I know you're more of an indoor person,
Well,
which is no shame ever.
I do like outside. And I don't know.
You're learning to like it though, right?
I like you. I was very outdoorsy as a kid. I was outside all the time.
Yeah.
You know? And I think I like lost some of that as time went on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like to be outside. I'm just like not. I don't know. With I don't know, in a very controlled environment. You know?
Sure. Like where you know kind of the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's a really good place to start. Not that to say that you're just starting, but like I think that's a good place to start, even if you're just like walking around a park, or like maybe there's a trail, maybe it's like slightly wooded, so you kind of feel like you're more out in the wilderness, if that's what you're after. Like, that is a really good place to start, and I think that you build up that like trust within yourself over time, you know?
Well, that's just like how confidence is built, right? Like you
Yes.
try a thing, and then you do it or you don't do it, and then you like do it again. You know? And I think for me, I just like, I love beautiful things outside.
Totally.
I'm a tourist through and through. Like, put me in Glacier National Park, I will just sit, like, I went
yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you like outside?
Okay, well, I love anything beautiful. I love mountains and oceans and lakes and rivers, and the sunshine. But I went, the year before pandemic life hit us, I went on a road trip, and I spent several days in Glacier National Park, because I went there as a kid, and I was like, I just remember it as being like the most beautiful place in the world.
It really is.
It is. And I had like plans like to do hiking and stuff. No, I just sat there for 8 hours and journaled. I was like, this is where I want to be, you know?
Yeah. Well, because national parks are great for that too, because that's a really good point, because if you are like unsure about hiking, or you know, like there's a lot of bears in Glacier National Park also, but like you can really be like, I like to call it nature tourism, where you can like, national parks are great for that. They're very accessible. They, you know, you can drive your car somewhere very beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's amazing, because you don't have to like set yourself up with that like expectation that you have to do a hike, or you have to like do all this stuff. You can just really just like immerse yourself in a beautiful place, and that's awesome too.
Yeah, that's my favorite. And like there were guided hikes, there were a lot of ways, and but it was like I felt good about. I was on vacation, so I felt good about just abandoning my plans and just being like, no, I just want to sit here. I'm just gonna sit here.
Totally.
Yeah.
Just give yourself permission. I think that's a good thing for anybody to take with them too. Like, give yourself permission to stop the hike anytime you want, or not go on a hike, or totally change your plans, because that's what it's all about. It's really about like that connection that you're making with a beautiful place. Yeah.
I'm with an eye on time. There's one question I have to ask you, which we sort of started about. You started mentioning earlier, but like I want to talk about clothes.
Okay.
And I specifically want to talk about, because I feel like we both have like lots of grievances about brands who like say a lot of things.
Oh yeah.
Do the things. And there has been more like inclusion within like outdoor brands, active apparel. There is some push for more diversity and inclusion within size charts sometimes, if you know, like offerings and representation.
Yeah.
But I want to know from you, like, what do you wish could happen with outdoor, specifically outdoor and active apparel brands, to make them more accessible to you and to the folks that you interact with as part of Fat Girls Hiking?
I mean, I think the big thing is that I think the sizing should go higher.
Yeah.
If a brand carries plus sizes, it usually stops at 3X.
Yeah.
And that's not enough, in my opinion. And I think that all brands should go at least to 6X.
Right.
And not having access to the things that keep us safe from the outdoors is a safety issue. And I think that's something that people don't really think about. Like, if we can't stay warm and dry in the outdoors, then that's a barrier. We can't do that activity. But the thing is too, like, there are, there's like the outdoor brands, right? Like, REI, Columbia, North Face, Patagonia, right? We all know those big outdoor, that are specifically outdoor brands. But honestly, you can go to Walmart or Target and you can find things that the sizing's a little better and the price is a little better.
Yeah.
So it's like you can get around that in some ways. But what I wish is that they could all hire me to be a consultant and design their amazing plus. And, I mean, that is part of it. I would love to do that.
Well, and it sounds like you're doing it a little.
The YouTube, call me. Fatgirlshiking@gmail. There we go.
And it's
Shameless plug.
No, nothing shameless about that. Plug away, like that's like what we're here for.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned at the top that you're doing that a little bit with the sock place, right?
Yeah. So yes.
What's that like for you? I mean, I don't know how much you were able to share, but what's that been like for you?
I mean, so I've done this kind of thing before with brands, and they have not been great. So I've been very wary of corporations and doing any sort of like sponsorship thing. So like Smartwool is the first one that I'm actually like, and they're not there yet even. Like, I don't necessarily even want to promote them because they're not at that point where I would say, like, the only time I would promote a brand is if they went to 6X. On their website, they have actual plus size bodies in those items of clothing. On their social media, there is plus size representation as much as there is straight size representation. That's like my criteria.
Yeah.
And so when they want to hire me, I was like, listen, you guys have a problem, and I'm going to tell you about your problems. And they want to hear. They actually wanted to hear it, and they're actively working on it. That's the only reason I would keep working with them. So, yes, they're doing it, and I'm kind of like, we'll see. They treat me really well. They are very good to me, and so I'm going to keep working with them.
And I mean, that's the thing. Like, hire fat people to be the experts because we are.
Yes. Yes. And I am like, so my, 5 years ago, I saw this, on Facebook when they show you a photo that you're like, oh gosh, I forgot about that. But I made this,
so good at doing this.
Oh my gosh. And sometimes it's not good, and I'm like, oh my god. Anyways, so there was this mock, book cover that I was going to make. It was like me, 9 photos of me hiking, all in a dress. And so, I was like, haha, this will be my book cover. And it was like, hiking in a dress, like a memoir or something. And I was like, because I hike in dresses. Like, I always thought you had to wear certain things when you go outside. And the truth is, you can't, you don't have to. I wore cotton, I wore dresses, and that's what I wanted to be able to, express myself through what I wear, because that's just how I've always been my whole life, is, fashion is important to me. So I didn't want to wear, tan, no offense to people who want to wear this. This is just my personal style, but, tan, pants with a bunch of pockets, that does not make me happy. That does not spark joy. I do not want to wear that stuff, no offense. I want to wear colorful, obviously, colorful pattern, things that are going to keep me safe in the outdoors. So, that's what I would ask for brands, is, colorful, fat people want to wear colors.
Yes.
Smartwool actually asked me this. I'm like, yes, people want patterns. Fat people want patterns. Fat people want colorful items of clothing. We don't want to just hide our bodies. Yeah. And I think that's the assumption and that's why you have to hire fat people, actual fat people, who will talk to you about things. And don't make your plus size clothes be more expensive. Also, don't do the fat tax. No. You don't need that. Yeah.
Well, and it's just make the other stuff more expensive, even it out. Average it out.
Average it out. Average out. And they always say things like, it's more fabric. And it's like, it is not that much more fabric. Give me a break. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
so I have my complaints, obviously, but I feel like it is trending towards better. I have noticed in the 7 years I've been doing Fat Girls Hiking that there are more brands who are actually aware about this They're aware of how like plus sizes are in demand, and if we look at the statistics, in need, and they could make a lot more money, right?
Yeah, right.
If they did this,
and
if they did it right.
Yeah, agreed. And there's a lot of talk, and so it's nice to know that there's like some action happening in this situation. Maybe not as quick as we want, but like there's some action happening, and they're paying you to help with that, which is that's the way to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we getting? Are we getting? Are you telling?
Is it?
I thought you were waving your hand. I wasn't sure.
I was like, are you ready? Should we ask the people?
Okay. Yes.
Are there questions from
We're
the audience
opening it up to
someone can answer?
these people out here. Hello, everyone. Any questions? Okay.
So, recently I went on a hiking trip out west, and it was through a thing called Bucket List.
Nice.
And I was way over my head. They were experienced hikers and I was not.
Yeah.
And just like you said, I felt like I was pulling them back.
Yeah.
But the guide was really nice. He stayed behind with me and he helped me out. Plus the fact that I'm afraid of heights.
Oh. Depending on where you're hiking, that could be a little bit much. Yeah. I'm glad that the guide stayed behind for you. Yeah. That's how I think it should be. I think that if you're a person leading a group hike, you should be thinking about, and if it's just like a general group hike especially, they should be accommodating to all the people.
After going on that trip, I'm thinking to myself, I probably shouldn't have even went.
Did you have a good experience?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad for that, yeah.
But I was just thinking, I just held them back.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's easy to think that. I mean, I've definitely felt that way too, and I think that we can, because there's this shame associated with that, right? That feeling is that like, that there's something wrong with us, that we can't keep up. And I think the truth is that just because they're not meeting our needs doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us. That's the way I try to think about it. And that's what I try to offer when I lead group hikes too, and what all the ambassadors who lead hikes are doing, because you deserve to feel like you're included and they're there for you too.
And you said you had a good time. So like if you had a good time, then you did deserve to be there.
Yeah.
And we're glad you went.
Yeah.
And you didn't hold me